Hello, everybody. My name is Shweta Kulkarni, and today I'm going to be talking about the role of entrepreneurship in my success. Before I even tell you why I'm here, what makes me a successful person, what exactly is my definition of entrepreneurship, we are actually going to discuss a few house rules. Mhm. There are always some rules here. The first one is notebook shut. This is not a classroom. This is not a note taking session. This is going to be an interactive session. I talk, I talk, you type. Okay? No notebooks. You will get a copy of this presentation at the end of this session. This way or that way, I will get the copy to you. All right, which brings me to the second point participate. We are not sitting on a Netflix streaming channel. This is a session. We are going to be interacting, which means you participate. Point three, the mic is mine. You can disagree with some of the things I say, and that's perfectly okay. But even then, I'm going to say some of those things. Okay? And point four, I know it is just after lunch, and a lot of you must be feeling sleepy, drowsy, which is fair. But I am going to try and keep this session as interesting and as engaging and as interactive as I can. In exchange, please stay awake. All right. And the most important thing throughout this presentation, please keep your speakers on. You are going to want to hear some of the things. Not everything is on slides. Okay. So keep your speakers on. Speakers, headphones, earphones, whatever it is you use to listen, keep those things on. There we go. Sound on. So, my question to all of you, yes, I like to start my sessions with a question. And this question does not require you to type your answer. It does not require you to share your answer. Okay. This question, for once, simply requires you to reflect upon and to think your answer in your mind. It's a very personal answer that you're going to have. And my question is first of all, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Put your hand on your heart and ask yourself or think about if you had absolutely no constraints whatsoever. You had all the time, you had all the money, you had all the resources that you need. What is the one thing that you would like to be? The one thing that you would like to do throughout your life? I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to think about this. All right, your time's up. You can open your eyes. You do not need to share your answers. And honestly, we all know that you did not need those 10 seconds. The moment you closed your eyes and heard the question, you knew the answer to that question. You all know what you really would love to do if you had all the resources at your disposal. Am I right? I know I'm right. That answer, ladies and gentlemen, is your raison d'etre. That is your reason of being. That is the very oxygen of your soul. And wise people, wise men and women have said that turn your passion into your profession and you will never go wrong. Because then your job will never be boring. Then the work you do will never stop interesting you. It'll never stop amazing you. Think about that. Turn your passion into your profession. Okay. Now, now that you know what your raison d'etre is, now that you have some idea, let's see if you can answer the next question. And this one does have a comment box icon at the bottom, which means you are going to type your answers. Okay? The most important resource for entrepreneurship is pick one. A. Network. B. Money. C. Skills. D. Big idea. E. Something else. You can just type A or B or C or D or E. You don't have to type the whole thing. We are not moving until we have at least 10 answers. Just type anything. You know you're going to be wrong anyway. Just kidding. Okay. Now, those of you who chose option E, please type your answer. Okay. And the right answer, ladies and gentlemen, is never mind. You'll know it after you hear this story. Okay. Yeah, I love telling stories. That might be a hint as to what I do. Anyway, so here's the story. Once upon a time, oh, hang on. Please don't fall asleep. Stay awake. Once upon a time, there was this guy. Okay. He did not enjoy studying at all. Those words, whatever the teacher said, whatever was written in the textbooks, it made no sense to him. Now, usually, what we've noticed over all these years is somebody who does not like reading is usually good at math, or someone who's not that great at math is good at maybe science or history or maybe some of the other humanities subjects. But no, not this fellow of ours. He did not like any kind of studying, period. Absolutely nothing. So obviously, people used to think, he's good for nothing, he's useless, he's going to be a failure in life, what is he going to do? Things like that. And of course, it was hurtful to him, but then he had to let it slide because his marks did show that he was not good at studies. He barely ever passed. Until one day, he was walking home from school. Okay, this must be maybe he was in 8th or ninth standard, I don't know. He's walking home from school. It is a hot, sunny afternoon in a village in Pune. Walking home from school, he's just very near his society's gate, and his gaze lands on a wrench. A wrench, a pana. You know what a pana is? Something that is used to tighten bolts, nuts and bolts. Yeah. So his gaze lands on a pana. He bends down, picks it up. It is old, it is rusty, but it is still strong and it is heavy. He looks around. Mm, Pune, right? And this was many, many years ago. Everything is shut. All the shops are shut. I don't know how many of you know. Ek pe char. Everything is shut. He doesn't see anybody. However, in the distance, not very far away, maybe a few feet from his gully, from his society, he spots the garage or garage where most people go to get their cars and scooters fixed. Now, back then, there were not as many cars. Yes, I have been walking this earth since the time dinosaurs existed. So please bear with me, please humor me. Back then, not many cars existed. It was mainly scooters that used to come to that garage for repair work. And he realizes that that wrench probably came from there. So he goes to the shop and he asks the mechanic. The mechanic's name is Sanjay Dada, but that doesn't matter. Uh, that's just extra information for you to store and kind of summon up whenever you don't want it. So he asks Sanjay Dada, what about this pana? What does it do? Is it yours? And of course, the mechanic says, yes, it is mine. I must have dropped it when I was coming to the garage this morning. So this guy is kind of looking around, seeing all the old scooters parked over there and all the old spare parts and new spare parts and the grease and everything around the garage. And he asked Sanjay Dada, what does this thing do? And then he tells him, okay, this is a this is a chain. It keeps the motor running properly. Okay. So what is this? What is that? And before he knows it, it's 3 hours that he is in that garage. He's enjoyed himself. Not only that, he then asks the mechanic if he might touch one of the cars. There is a car over there, an old car, and the hood is open. The mechanic says, sure, go ahead. It's anyway an antique and it's going to be scrapped, so feel free. So this guy goes, takes a look. Oh, this is broken. Oh, that is broken. And the mechanic says, how did you know this is broken? Because it does not obviously look broken. And the guy says, oh, you see this little part here, it doesn't look right. Or, oh, you see this doesn't sit tightly. That means it's not going to be working well. The mechanic asks him if he would like to come to the garage after school whenever he can. Of course, the boy says yes. It's not like he has anything better to do anyway, right? He goes to the garage every day after school from ninth standard onwards. He goes to the garage. Even in 10th standard, he keeps going to the garage every day. Now, people around him, they are like, Arey, yaar, now this kid, look at him. He's in 10th standard. Instead of going home and studying, he's sitting over here and doing time pass and just wasting his time and wasting his life and blah, 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 blah. One day, now this years have passed, okay? He's completed 10th. Now he's barely in some college in 11th and 12th and stuff like that. But in 11th grade, one day while he's in the garage, now it's been 3 years, right? He's been working in that garage. There's nobody else in the garage. All the mechanics and everybody, they've gone for lunch. Okay, this fellow had chutti and so he's come there on his day off from college. He's doing time pass. And one relatively fancy car drives into the garage. When I say relatively fancy, it is relative for y'all, fancy for us. Okay. So fancy car drives into the garage. Even before that gentleman behind the wheel can get out of the car, this fellow of ours, he has walked up to the car and he's looking at it with a strange expression because the car to him did not sound right. Okay, the sound of the car bothered him. Now this fellow has turned off the car and popped the hood, popped the trunk or whatever you'll call it. He opens the hood and immediately he spots what is wrong and he starts to fix it even before the gentleman can tell him what is wrong because he's heard it, he knows what's wrong, right? So he starts fixing it. Then he does not notice, he bends low, he's kind of looking at all the angles, is this right, is that right, and all that. So he does all that. What he does not know is while he's looking at it with such precision, his fellow mechanics have come back. And this owner of the car is looking at him in rapt attention. Everybody is amazed by his precision. He fixes the car and the car drives away, and the garage mechanic, the owner, hands him an envelope. He says, this was left for you by the car owner. Inside the envelope is a wad of cash. Okay, it's a bundle of money. Now this fellow says, Dada, you're already paying me my salary. If I take more money home, I will land in trouble. People will think that I have stolen it. So this my mechanic says, okay, I'll keep it. But along with the money, there is a little note, a little card. On that card is the name and number and email address of this fellow. Now, this was 20 years ago. Okay, so the phone number may not have been a very advisable thing, but anyway, turns out this phone number is not of India, it is from the UK. It has a +44 code to it. This guy obviously cannot call now. So he sends him an email saying, thank you very much, I appreciate the bonus that you gave us and stuff like that. Now the gentleman whose car it was replies, turns out he had been visiting his family, extended family in India for a few days, and this car belongs to them. And it was making funny sounds, so he had to pull up in front of that garage in a rush, in an emergency. Now, time lapse. A year passes. This kid has finished 12th grade. Again, he's barely gotten any marks, he's just about passed. Fine. But in that process, he has also managed to somehow keep in touch through email with this gentleman. And the gentleman sends him a link one day, and the link is for an apprenticeship in the UK. And that is when his mother is, of course, anxious, but his father stands by him because his father has watched his son evolve into a good person, into a skilled mechanic, car repair person in these 3 4 years. And the garage mechanic hands him that bundle of cash. Now is the time for you to use this money and buy your ticket to freedom. Today, that gentleman, that young boy who could barely study, is a mentor to many, many, many entrepreneurs in the UK. Not only that, he himself has 3 to 4 huge auto repair shops in the UK. He is a visiting faculty, a guest lecturer at several elite management colleges across Europe. To date, he does not have an MBA degree. So, my point, people, is that the correct answer to my question, to my earlier question, is wait, does anyone even remember the earlier question? Hello, wake up. Does anyone even remember the earlier question? The most important resource for entrepreneurship is the correct answer to that question based on this story, which I told you, is the correct answer is you, yourself. Entrepreneur originates from French entreprendre, which means simply to undertake or to do something. So, entrepreneurship means to do something. Nowhere does it say that it has to be a big business, it has to make money from day one. No, it's simply to do something. Okay. But eventually it has to be profitable. That's right. But how do you get there? How did this fellow who did not like studying at all go from not liking studies to becoming the owner of several elite franchisees and branches of car repair shops across the UK, right? So let's see what happened. Here's a 60-second elevator pitch that I want all of you to work on. I'm not going to be the one doing all the talking all the time. Like I said, you will participate. This is the question. This is step one. And your pitch is going to be about, and hold your horses, just because you have this slide does not mean you start thinking, because there are certain caveats. Okay, so your task is, there is excess kitchen and hostel food waste at MIT WPU. There is not, let's just assume, okay, let's assume that there is excess kitchen and hostel food waste on your campus. And your challenge is, name your luxury brand, meaning first, in your head, in your mind, you have to invent a product, a service, an offering that turns your food waste into a diamond, into something extremely profitable. Okay? So, your challenge is to invent that product, service, or offering in your mind, name it, give it a very elite sounding name, and write a one sentence sales pitch to sell the product to a high end buyer. Now, remember, we're talking about an elevator pitch, right? It should not be a ride to boredom, and you have exactly 60 seconds. You waste even a second, you bore them for even a second, and they've zoned out. All right? So let's keep it short and simple. The caveat here is you get 120 seconds to think. That's a whole 3 minutes. Now, You will use those, oops, how do I go back? All right. You will use that time, those 120 seconds, to think, plan, and prepare your elevator pitch. And once those 120 seconds are over, you will drop your answers in the comment box. Okay? Let's see if we might want a voting session on which pitch works best. All right. Your time to think starts now. 5 seconds left. Okay, stop. By the way, I know 120 seconds is 2 minutes, not 3. It was an intentional distraction, and there will be distractions when you are pitching to somebody in real life. This was supposed to be a mental noise for you. So, people, focus, dear entrepreneurs, focus on your goal. There's going to be noise around you all the time. Focus on your goal, okay? What it is that you want from life. All right, let's take a look at the comments. I'm not going to read out the comments because all of you have access to all these comments. You can read them for yourselves and see which ones you like the best and which ones make the most sense to you. Let's take about a minute or so for that so that you all have time to read everybody else's comments. While you read, I do not want you to simply think about what's good and what's bad. I want you to mentally, at least, critically analyze what worked for you and what did not work for you and why. The why is crucial. As in, for with somebody else's elevator pitch, not your own, with somebody else's elevator pitch, why their pitch made sense to you, why it appealed to you, why it did not appeal to you, what you liked about it, what you did not like about it. I want you all to make a mental note of it. We are not going to rip it apart right now. We are not going to shred it to pieces right now, not our own, not somebody else's. Okay? Just mental notes on these things. Okay. Another 10 seconds, I guess. So we all have a little time to read, to think. All right. Now, let's move on to the next task. Yeah. I don't like to be the one doing all the talking. I love to make my audience work. And the next task, I would like to believe, is interesting for all of you. Because as students, you all get your papers graded, your presentations analyzed, critiqued, and everything, right? Today is your chance to sit on the other side. So today you will be sharks. Okay, we're going to do a short reverse Shark Tank. I'm going to pitch a few bad business ideas to you. Okay, and for every business idea that I pitch, it's going to be a one liner because we're doing elevator pitches anyway, right? It's going to be one liners. For every bad idea that I pitch, you are going to respond with why you think this idea is a bad idea. I mean, we all know it's a bad idea, okay? There's no question about that. But I want you to give me critical, honest, analytical, logical answer as to why you think it is a bad idea. It could be a one word answer, it could be a two-word answer, it does not have to be a whole paragraph. That's fine by me. Okay, but just a general critical reasoning is what I'm looking for. Your logic is what I'm trying to see. Okay, so I give you a business idea. You respond with a single biggest reason you believe that idea will fail. For each business idea, you will give me at least one reason you think it will fail. And every one of you has to give me a reason each. It's not like the whole group will give me the same reason as a whole. No. One of you has to reply. Okay? And each slide is going to have one business idea so that we can avoid confusion. And each slide will have a timer because we don't want it to go incessantly. It'll have a timer of 60 seconds. Okay, so that way you read the idea, you think about it, you give me your answer in comments, we move to the next slide, and all of this happens in 60 seconds. And like this we have 5 ideas. Okay, let's begin. And the timer starts as soon as the slide starts. So it's not like you get extra time or some time to read and then think. No, the timer starts the moment we switch the slide. Okay. Ready, set, go. Idea one, a bookshop that sells only one book. Okay. Idea 2, a dating app with video exchange capabilities. Idea number 3, miniatures in glass domes. Restaurant menu digitizer, an app that digitizes restaurant menus. And a final idea, let's make edible water, water that can be eaten. At this point, I know few, some, many, most, or all of you have paused because something did not feel right. The business ideas sounded absolutely terrible, right? Who opens a bookshop to sell only one book? Makes no sense. It's weird, is it? There is a shop in Japan. Its name is Morioka Shoten. Now, this shop had a crazy business idea. They sell only one book every week. Okay, one book every week. They swap out that book for a different one every 6 days. Throughout that week, there's only that one book, many copies of it, of course, but only that one book are available in that shop. But the beauty of it is, depending on the theme of the book, the whole shop is done up in terms of decor, in terms of experience, in terms of music, in terms of fragrance, in terms of the whole ambience according to the theme of that book. So if it's a book on, say, winter, that shop will look, smell, feel, taste like winter. Everything is changed inside the shop for that whole week. And that shop is a huge success. Look it up. You are going to get the slides at the end of the session, so don't worry about having to take a screenshot or take a picture of this. You will get these slides. Okay? Now, what about a dating app with video exchange capabilities? Some of you might have guessed it. That is the history of YouTube. That is how YouTube started, as a dating app. I know, strange, right? And look at where it is today. It's sold to Google for, I think, 1.65 billion, something to the tune of that dollars a few years ago. But that's YouTube. Third one, we spoke about miniatures and glass domes. There are snow cone factories and glass blowing factories all over the world. And they make resounding business. They are sold as souvenirs. They are sold as free giveaways. They are sold as tourist attraction memorabilia. They are sold as business trade show uh, props. So there's a lot of business opportunities even for miniatures in snow globes. Strange. That was our third idea. The fourth idea, an app that digitizes restaurant menu. That's the history of Zomato. That's how Zomato began. Look at where that company is today. And as regards making edible water, Notpla is one company that makes small bubbles of water. So they are trying to eliminate plastic waste that is generated with these disposable water bottles, and that's especially important for sports people, right? Like marathoners and cyclists and triathloners. So essentially, they can just grab that one capsule or one bubble, pop it in their mouth. It's about a swallow full of water and keep going without having to trash anything. Look it up. There was one that I swapped out as regards idea number three, the snow cones. That was a freelancer do it all service. Urban Club. That's your freelancer do it all service. I think now they've renamed themselves as the Urban Company, but that's essentially it, right? Connecting people to services and service offerers, service providers. It's like the Uber and Ola of service providers. Okay. So, in all of this, my point that I'm trying to make, even before I tell you my story, is there is no bad business idea. You might sometimes need to work on the execution, the method, the timing, the presentation, or something else. But there is no such thing as a bad business idea. So if you ever hesitate, if you ever feel like, oh, this is going nowhere, you don't have to throw your whole idea out the window. You might simply want to change your approach. The room is right, the door might need to be changed. Okay, and now let's get back to my favorite thing, my favorite subject, storytelling. Once upon a time, once upon a time, there was this person, this girl. She used to love disappearing into the world of stories and all kinds of stories. Okay, there was no limit on what genre, what language, uh, what length, of stories that she would disappear into, or even what media of stories she would disappear into, be it print books, digital books. Again, like I said earlier, like I mentioned earlier, I've been walking this earth since dinosaurs existed. So this is from pre-mobile phones era. In fact, this is from pre-phones era, pre-TV era. And honestly, when we were growing up, the only source of entertainment on TV was one channel, actually two channels if you grew up in Mumbai, which was Doordarshan 1 and Doordarshan 2. The rest of the country had only the one channel called DD1. Even the stories on there, the songs, even songs would transport her into stories. Until one day, while doing her MBA and later on also while working, she realized that she works best when she sees something as a story, that she speaks best when she expresses it in the form of story. She writes best when she expresses it or writes it in the form of a story. So much so that she started being invited to events, to MC them, to compare them, sometimes to host them, and sometimes as speaker, like I am here today. Which is why a few years ago, finally, she started her own publishing company to give voice to different storytellers from around the world. And the voice does not have to be one language, it does not have to be one form, it does not even have to be one age. Her first project was a bilingual Diwali edition, which was received exceptionally well. And the name of that company is Positive Linguist Publishers, which is what I started. That is my baby, that is me. Today we have many products, many projects, many offerings, and we have grown manyfold without realizing how fast we grew. However, what I do want to tell you about this entrepreneurship journey of mine is it did not start officially, like I did not launch my company officially until 2 years ago. But the journey of entrepreneurship began when I was still in school. I was working on my school magazine, in the editorial, as an author. Even later, I was speaking on podiums. All those things were still part of my entrepreneurship journey. I just wasn't aware of it. I just did not know that there's a label for that journey, and that label is called entrepreneurship. Back then, of course, I was too young. I did not have the good sense to capitalize on my God gifted skill, which I honed later on through a lot of hard work. But the point that I'm trying to make is entrepreneurship does not necessarily require all the resources that we think it requires. You can start small. You can start with baby steps. You can even start it just as a side hustle or sometimes even as a volunteering opportunity. One step at a time, one day at a time. Because let's be honest, very few of us are going to have access to seed capital. All these fancy companies we spoke about, for example, the urban company, it is a phenomenal idea. However, the people in that company had worked in PricewaterhouseCoopers before. They had worked in some other companies before, which meant they had created that network of individuals. They had earned the right, they had earned the authority, the experience that is required to go and seek funding. And therefore, I always say that your entrepreneurship journey can start young. It does not make you any less successful. But having no money, I did not have any money to start my capital, just to start my company. Honestly speaking, I started with a free subscription of Canva, an online version of Google Docs. That was how I started. That was how this company started. As regards marketing, it was simply word of mouth the first year. The interviews, they were simply the connections that I had made over all these years. So invest your time, invest your energy in yourself, in your idea. Don't be afraid to dream big. It takes time. Rome was not built in a single day. Okay, so start, keep going, and don't give up. Time and experience are two key resources at your disposal. Use them wisely, use them well, and use them abundantly. Don't be afraid to work hard. I went back to grad school. I already had an MBA from India, but I went back to grad school to earn my degree in education because I wanted to become an education publisher. I wanted to write children's stories, stories that nudge them towards education. That's the reason I went back to grad school in my 40s. Also, one last thing, rejection is not a no, it simply means that you can do better. I have enjoyed my time, my hour with all of you. I am letting y'all off a little early. I know y'all must be tired. It's been a long day for all of you. I hope that your university provides you with the slides. If not, I'm sharing my email address with you all. Please feel free to write to me. I will also try and upload this video on YouTube if your university permits. Having said that, wish you all the very best. You are the future of our country. You are the future of our world. You have all my best wishes, and if you ever need any help, any guidance, any mentorship, any connections, anything to do with networking, anything to do with marketing, anything at all that you think I can be of help to you, please feel free to reach out to me on this email address. All right? Signing off now. Bye bye.